Welcome to Aiken Business Matters. I'm John McMichael, the Business Vitality Manager with the City of Aiken, and I am so pleased today to have two guests with us, Patrick and Natalie Carlisle. Welcome.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Well, the new year started off with me reading the newspaper and seeing where you two have had a significant change in your life. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. We recently purchased Newberry Hall from Maggie and David Sachs. They have been in operation since '02, and we had an opportunity to take ownership, full ownership, and we were able to finally make it work.
Natalie, what did you think about that?
Well, I had my own career going at the time and felt that the timing was right, and we talked about it and talked about it some more and decided that that was the right path for us and our family. So we did the appropriate steps, and here we are.
Well, I know people that are watching have seen you on television before. You were part of a commercial for Aiken Regional Medical Center,
That's
weren't
right.
you? Tell us a
I
little
was.
bit about that.
Well, I had surgery during pregnancy and had my gallbladder removed, which is not a normal process while you are pregnant, especially as far along as I was. I was 25 weeks, and that was right at the cutoff of what they considered safe for that type of procedure. So they asked if they could speak to me and do a little marketing promo. So I said, sure. Got my 15 minutes of fame.
Well, I think that's great. And certainly people, I bet you got a lot of comments about that too, didn't you?
I did. So hopefully if anybody else goes through the process, it'll give them a little reassurance that it can be okay. It was scary, but everything turned out well.
Yeah. There was a common comment that I heard when I first moved back to Aiken, being originally from Aiken, was that everything comes through downtown at one time or another. And people would always ask me, were you born in Aiken? So I'm asking you, were you both born here, or are you transplants, or were you born here?
We are both natives of Aiken. We are part of the very small population that are actually born and raised from here. My parents moved here in the 60s, whenever their parents moved here in the 50s, and they came after them. And fortunately, we've been able to start our family. So we have our new set of natives that we're adding to the population. We have two kids. And Natalie is also a native of Aiken.
I am.
Yep.
My parents moved here, I believe, in the 70s. And actually, short story, my mom actually was Patrick's dad's secretary when she moved here. And we didn't know each other. We weren't born yet.
Wow.
So it's a very small world.
It is. And now you're in business together.
That's right.
We are.
In more ways than one.
That's right.
That's right.
That is right.
How do you balance family and business?
Takes a lot of organizing. We do rely on our parents for times when we may both need to be at work, when the daycare hours are over. So we have a great support system. Our parents, will jump at the second to be able to watch our children, and so we're very thankful for that. They know that we have some busy schedules with Newberry, so they're willing to help us out.
Yeah, we have a great support group with our family. Both of our parents really do help us out a ton with it. I work majority of nights. We try to let Natalie have the nights off so she can be with the kids. As long as I've been working at Newberry, it really has been, this is what it takes to be able to support our family. So this is what we're doing. It's, it's a lot of nights and weekends, but, it's all worth it. You have to support your family, and that's what we're trying to do.
Well, I tell you, I guess the first time I met you was at Newberry Hall at a function, probably Rotary or something like a Rotary or Chamber of Commerce event, and met David and Maggie. And I know when my daughter-in-law got married, that's where she went, unbeknownst to me, to set up the rehearsal and where my wife did the rehearsal there, and they told me, and I said, great choice, good food. Your family is real important to you, and I know that growing up in Aiken, you made a lot of friends. Have you run into a lot of friends that have talked to you about your new business venture.
Yes, our friends are very, as long, we have a very tight-knit group of friends that we still associate with, all the way from elementary school, high school, that we still talk with on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis. And as long as I've been at Newberry and Natalie we've known each other and been married, our friends kind of saw it coming a long time ago. And, you know, for them to finally see this accomplishment that we have gotten to in our lives, it's, you know, they're excited for us. They really like to see us finally succeed and to get to this point in our career with Newberry.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious that you're very passionate about what you're doing. Patrick, how did you get into the food service industry? What kind of education have you gone through? What kind of, I know you've worked in the food industry for a while, so give us kind of a sketch of how that happened.
It's funny. I was 18 years old, just graduated high school, was taking a lot of hands-on kind of industrial classes in high school, and realized that I wanted to be a type of something mechanical. I wasn't really sure what it was going to be, but I'm a very technical person when it comes to certain things. So I went to a couple classes at the Career Center right out of high school, to see what I wanted to do for college. At that time, I didn't have any work. I needed a job. Maggie and David had just bought Newberry Hall from Sam Erb, and we're looking for people to work. My family knows the Sacks very well, so I literally went to their back door, 18 years old, and Maggie and David were in the kitchen. I'm not even sure what they were doing. I think they were just kind of hanging out. I don't think they had any events going on. And I said, I'm Jim and Ellie's son. I'm looking for some work. They said, well, can you work? This was a Saturday. They said, can you work on Monday? I said, I can. That Monday, that was 14 years ago, that I walked in their back door looking for work, and I haven't left since. I went to Aiken Tech and graduated with an industrial maintenance degree, and was trying to pursue that career. I had a few job interviews, and I think David really saw a little something more in me that he kind of saw in himself, and he really saw potential in me with Newberry. And at the time, Newberry was getting busier and busier, and he needed more full-time help. So he offered me a position to be able to manage Newberry Hall back in 2006. And I asked my parents if they were okay with me not pursuing my college career and to really dedicate 100% to Newberry. They were fine with it. They backed me. And ever since then, we've just been developing, working hard, creating things, and making new friends throughout this long career that I've had with Newberry.
You know, it's amazing to me. There are so many television shows on now that deal with cooking and the chefs and things like that. And then in high school now, they've got culinary classes that you can take. I visited some of the high schools in the area last year, and it was amazing the facilities that they had. I mean, like full professional kitchens set up in there for them to get a hands-on experience with. But you had the real world hands-on experience right out there, and
I did.
You were, I guess, very fortunate to have somebody like David to mentor you through that. How important was that?
Oh, David and Maggie are a huge impact on my life. They're really, I truly still feel like they are my second parents, and I still talk to David on a daily basis, and I look up to them so much and look for them for wisdom and knowledge. But David really, he never had cooked professionally. He just cooked because he liked to cook.
Yeah.
And they got into the catering business because they liked to cook and they liked the hospitality. So David kind of taught me these basic, simple things that you can do to feed the masses and not just make meals for your family. So we took that and we kept developing it. And David really taught me everything I know feeding the public and in large quantities. You know, you develop your skill over time. But I mean, David and Maggie, they truly have helped hone my skills.
Yeah. Well, running a business like this, especially a catering business, and one that is, I guess every day is different for you, isn't it?
It is. It is. You have to stay as flexible as you possibly can, because you can plan certain things, but there's other things that you just have to be willing to let go and to move on to something else to try to make, because everything is time sensitive. And we try to get as quick of a response, whatever it may be, for any situation, especially last minute jobs. And that's something that Natalie has learned and has been adapting to really well, that you can plan, but you can't plan too much, because you got to be spontaneous. You have to.
Yeah. Well, one thing I've always noticed, and I think that one of the successes for a business like Newberry Hall that's been around for so long and been a vital part of a community, is the customer service that goes with it. I've always thought that the way that you and the staff at Newberry Hall have approached your customers, I guess you consider them friends, many of them, that it was always a great thing, because you made people feel at home. You don't feel like you're going into a business. You feel comfortable going in there, and I think that's the tone that's set by you and your staff. And now, Natalie, you're a part of that. What kind of individual roles did both of you play in the business?
A little bit of everything. I mean, we wear many hats around there. You know, I'm taking over the financials. You know, so I've got a lot of administrative duties in the office, but then I also will jump up and go serve the guests in the room. I'll go do laundry. I'll do whatever is needed. If you see something that needs to be done, you just handle it. And then, Patrick does, his list is a lot longer than mine of what he takes care of, but, I'm a little bit of the jack of all trades in the front, and then I don't touch the food.
That was my next question. Do you have anything to do with the food preparation?
I have to have very strict guidelines into what needs to be done, because I'm not handy in the kitchen. I'll put on the gloves and say, tell me what needs to be done, and it has to be very simple or repetitious, or else I'm lost.
She's a good taster.
Yeah.
Yes, that too.
Yeah. I just want to at work, does he make you call him chef?
No.
Maybe we should start doing that.
No.
Yeah.
Whenever I first started at Newberry, it was a very small operation. It was Maggie, David, and myself 95% of the time. So we had to do everything. We had to prep the food, we had to clean up, we had to set the room, we had to do the laundry, we had to vacuum, clean the bathrooms. We did it all from start to finish over a certain amount of days. So that mentality has always been in me ever since the beginning. So I instill into my employees that you really need to have your hand in everything, and don't be afraid to come in the kitchen if we need help, or then at the end of the night you're going to be running a vacuum, or before that you might be washing dishes. So I really feel like, as long, it's almost like a family atmosphere. Everybody really just helps out everybody. And we have a happy kitchen, we have a happy facility, our employees are all happy majority of the time, not under stress, but that really adds to good customer service, right? Because our employees are happy to be there. It makes it a lot better on the front end when people are having a good time.
Yeah, it's funny how people can really pick up on a vibe if things are not going well behind the scenes, mm-hmm. and there's chaos and things are not going well. What do you do when you plan for, let's say, 150 people coming in to eat, and all of a sudden you have 200 that are in the room? How do you handle something like that?
It has happened, and it will happen again. It's not fun. But the first thing you do is you have to keep calm, keep in control, because the customer doesn't know necessarily that certain guest might not know that there's an extra 50 people there. They don't know that. They're just right there to have a good time and eat food. So we have had to redevelop a menu at the last minute to make sure that we have enough. So if we have to pull food that was meant for another job in order to make this one happen, because we're not going to let food run out. It's never happened. It won't ever happen, because the last thing we want to do is get that as a rep of ours. Right. So keeping calm, flying by the seat of your pants, and staying spontaneous, like I said before, that really helps you kind of get through those situations when that stuff does happen.
Right. Some members of our family were in the restaurant business in Columbia, and when we lived in Columbia, we got called in occasionally to help them when people didn't show up for work. So my wife and I got a little taste of the restaurant business, and it's people just don't have any idea unless they've ever worked in the restaurant business what goes into preparing meals, and it's so much of it is dealing with the health and well-being of the people that you're serving, and making sure that the food preparation is correct, temperatures are right, all those kind of things. So how do you make sure that all those things get taken care of?
We do have lists that we go by to help to make sure that we don't have voids that didn't get filled. The staff that we have been there a long time, so they're very well trained to make sure that they're doing what they need to be doing at what time they're supposed to be doing it. But whenever you're planning for 200, you really have to start planning it for days out. So we sit down every Monday, myself, Natalie, and our event coordinator, and we go over all the fine details that we can get from the week prior and then the 2 weeks next coming up. So as long as you're planning, making notes, and even for events that happen on a monthly basis, we're making notes for that next month, or even on a year, like for Christmas parties, we're making notes for that next year, just so we know to be ready and what to expect with the customers bringing to us.
Yeah. What are the busiest times of the year for you?
April's busy for us, as it is majority of the restaurants with Masters Week.
Right, of course.
And the weather is always so nice in April, and good weather usually brings a lot of business. Christmas parties in December. Then we have wedding season. Wedding season is always good for us. Right before it gets hot, April, May, June are always busy. And then we try to catch our breath in July. It usually slows down a little bit. August is always busy for us too.
This is where you put in a plug for July. July is our slowest month. We need July events.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, we do. It is nice to catch your breath, but we don't want to catch it too much. We want to stay with that forward momentum. July always slows down for us.
Talking about momentum, I was just thinking as you and Natalie were talking that it would be interesting, I think, for our listeners to know a little bit about how it is to balance things. Like you have an event that is going on at Newberry Hall, and you have other events where you're catering away from Newberry Hall, because I've been fortunate enough, I've been at different event sites, and all of a sudden I see you or one of your staff pulling up and getting out food. I always know that we're going to get something good. And how do you balance all of that? I mean, you've got things going on different fronts. It's almost like working two different businesses.
It is. On-premise and off-premise, which we do go off-premise about 30% of the time, and about 70% of the time it's at Newberry. But honestly, it comes from experience, just knowing what event is coming up, who the customer is. You can read a little bit into it and kind of know exactly what's going to be going on, the finer details that you can be prepared for, so you're not caught off guard. I would truly say experience. Not only myself, but the staff too. They're just experienced about going off premise and on premise. I mean, you're always going to forget things, but we try to go back to our checklist. We've been doing it a long time, so we try to make sure that we cross our T's and dot our I's so that we're prepared for what comes up next.
Right.
Yeah.
And Patrick's great at scheduling. He's the one who does the schedule for both front of the house and back of the house. So he knows how many people it's going to take for any of the jobs going on. So he knows each person that is on schedule has a different schedule of their own, whether they be in school, have another job, if they have children of their own, so that takes a lot of planning on his part to be able to know who can work and when they can work and if they're going to be needed that night, and so we're thankful we have a good staff that they stay pretty flexible.
Good.
You know, so, and if we do have a last minute job, they're usually willing to come in and help out because they know how important it is. But I give credit mostly to Patrick. He's great at scheduling.
You better take that while you can.
Yeah, I know. Well, I feel like, I'm not sure if it's correct or not, but over the time I've realized that you need to have one person that filters all information and then distributes that information out. That person's me. So everything from menus to price points to scheduling to food ordering all filters through me and then gets distributed out to our event coordinator, to Natalie, to all the other staff. So that way one person at least knows everything, and then the staff knows what they need to do so they can focus on their duties.
Do you serve different kinds of menu items at different times of the year?
We do. Wintertime and summertime, hot and cold is really our balance. We try. The only time we ever really go seasonal is if what fruits and vegetables we can get in
Right.
fresh. So we really, we try to stay heavier in the winter and we stay lighter in the summer just because it's hot. People don't want
Right.
pot roast in the middle of July because it's scorching outside and you get a heavy meal. You might not continue your work the rest of the day. So we try to do lighter dishes during the summer, not quantity wise, but fulfillment wise. Salads are really popular in
Right.
June and July, August. And then we try to stay, soups during the winter. We try to do different things.
What is the favorite item that you like to fix?
I'm the guys in the kitchen, they call me the sauce boss because I like making sauces. And I have developed a book of different sauces, seasonings, marinades. I like doing sauces because you can take the same dish, the same piece of chicken that you're serving all the
Right.
time, but you can change it in so many different ways with a different sauce or a different topping or a different seasoning. And I like messing with those things. I think it's pretty neat to do that kind of stuff. And it does take time to be able to develop those skills to be able to, to work with heavy creams and stocks, different types of stocks. We make different types of stocks too. So to be able to mess with those, I like it. I like the intricate that you can get with the sauces and seasonings.
So you're a culinary chemist.
Yes, I am. Minus the nitrogen.
There you go.
Yes.
You can feel free to use that for your book when you get ready to publish it. Have you thought about publishing your recipes?
There are some things that Maggie and David had created, and they were Newberry secrets, like Maggie's cookies, the oatmeal craisin cookies. We still serve those on a weekly basis.
Right.
That's Maggie's.
Yes, you do.
That's Maggie's ticket. I do give insider tips to people whenever they say they came for the weekend. They said that dish was really good. Tell me about it. But we got to keep a few secrets on our side to stay above the competition.
I will say I've asked for your recipe for chili and I've asked for your recipe for cookies, and I'll tell everybody he has turned me down on both occasions. I'm not sure why, but those are some of the secrets he wants to
It
keep.
keeps you coming back to us.
It
If
does.
we give you the
It does.
recipe, you won't come back as often, maybe.
But you do make a fantastic chili. I love chili. In fact, I had some last night. Wasn't as good as yours, but it was pretty good.
That's good. Just keep the interviews coming.
There you go. What are the parameters that you put on for time frame for somebody booking Newberry Hall? How much notice do you need?
Well, we've booked out weddings 2 years in advance. We've booked out Christmas parties 2 years in advance before. Unfortunately, we've booked out funerals 36 hours in advance.
Wow.
And then we've done some stuff even for some local government fundings that they got a proposal at the last minute and they wanted to have a celebration. So
Yeah.
we've done food for a couple hundred people with just a couple hours notice. So it goes back to that being flexible. As flexible as you can be really works with you in the long run. Ideally, we try to give people 6 months. If it's a wedding reception,
Right.
even further out, closer to a year, just so that you can reserve your date, because Newberry can only hold so many people, so it fills up pretty quick. Yeah.
Well, that's a great answer. Thank you. I know that Newberry Hall, you can subdivide it inside to two different locations, two different eventing areas, so to speak. Do you do that regularly? Do you have two events going on at the same time?
We do, yeah. We really enjoy. If you're gonna feed 100 people, you might as well feed 200 people.
Right.
So if you can have two events going on at the same time, it really works. It doesn't affect our labor as much. So if we can have two events going on, that was the design that we had come up
Right.
with whenever we first redesigned Newberry, was to be able to do two functions at once. We do fill it up quite a bit, both of them. A lot of times it'll be a morning and a night, or a breakfast and a lunch and a dinner. And occasionally we do two dinners, two lunches, and two breakfasts at the same time.
If I'm a business and I want to hold a meeting there, but I don't really want to serve a whole meal, can you accommodate me and serve something like some tea, coffee, and maybe something light like cookies, for instance.
We do. We do everything from full-blown breakfast to just beverage services. Whenever Jeb Bush came through, they didn't want to feed the masses. They just wanted to be able to give somebody something to drink. So we set up a cookie and snack mix and tea and water station. So we do it from every extreme. We can do heavy hors d'oeuvres all the way down to beverage stations. Whichever the customer wants, we can do it.
Well, you've had this being a political year, you've certainly had your share of politicians that have come through Aiken and have used Newberry Hall as their stump, so to speak. And tell us a little bit about that. Is that a difficult thing to manage, the security that comes with them and all the extra crowds and things like that?
As we try to be as easy to work with as possible. So whenever we're dealing with campaign managers and stuff, they can sense that. As many people as they deal with, they can sense that these guys are going to be easy to work with, I can tell. So whenever they're peace of mind a little bit, we do get some security that comes through there. All of staff knows all the ins and outs of the building, so they give them quick tours. They set up in their positions. We have our event. We love the exposure. You get lots of publicity with those campaigns. We love having them come through here. I think Aiken loves having them come through here.
Yep.
It has a huge Republican Party. So Aiken's a big draw for those, and we're glad to be a part of that.
Well, it's obvious that when people come to Aiken like that, like campaigns that from out of the state that are national campaigns, that Newberry Hall must have some sort of a national recognition that people call and say, hey, can you guys accommodate us? And you've done a good job. You're great on crowd control and things like that. You have all the latest things that people need. I know you have audio-visual equipment in there, so that when somebody has a need for a meeting and they need to have PowerPoint presentations or videos or whatever, that you can accommodate that. Is that true?
That is. We have dual projectors, which means we can show 2 different slides in 2 different rooms at the same time. We have full audio-visual. We're also Wi-Fi ready. We just put in new Wi-Fi antennas so we can have 120 high-speed wireless connections at one time. That was something that we felt like we needed to do for corporate events and other civic groups that needed a lot of internet access.
Patrick, what do you see as the future for Newberry Hall? What do you see? Where do you see yourself and Natalie in a year, 5 years, whatever? Tell me about what your vision is for Newberry Hall.
We've always said that we wanted to keep Newberry the hometown feel that it always has had. It's always been a family operation. We always want to keep that. We just want to maybe venture out a little bit outside of our comfort zone. We're going to start getting into a lot of drop-off meals, a lot of to-go items. We're going to get involved with maybe some of the festivals downtown, and we're going to start selling food to maybe some events they're doing out on Newberry Street, or the Hops and Hogs event that they're going to have over at the Triangle. So we're going to try to set up on some things like that. We might venture out and start doing some stuff in Augusta, but we want to definitely keep that hometown small business what we are. It's our roots. We have a small facility that we feel like we can really do some big things with, and we hope to continue that same tradition.
Just one last question, or maybe the last question. We'll see how long it takes you to answer this, but I want to know, who does the cooking at home?
I'll let Natalie answer this.
I wish I could say that I did, but Patrick leaves the kitchen at Newberry and then he jumps into the kitchen at home.
I enjoy it. I love cooking, not only for our livelihood, but just to be able to come home, get the kids. Emma, our daughter, who is 4, will get up there with us on our island, and we'll cook dinner. We love it. We love grilling out. We love frying. We love smoking. We love barbecuing. I enjoy cooking. She enjoys hanging out. It's a good time for us to relax, stay in our element, get
Catch
caught up on the day.
So you think your daughter's going to follow in your footsteps?
Hopefully a little bit more than what I've done.
I do. Whether or not she follows in our footsteps, I just want them to know that hard work and dedication can get you a long way in life. And that's really what we want to bestow upon our children, is hard work and dedication. And that's really what has led to the position that we've been offered with Newberry, is hard work.
Well, I'll tell you, both of you are great examples of young entrepreneurs that have a vision and that have put a lot of hard work and dedication into achieving that. And I want to offer you congratulations. So far as the city goes, we're proud to have you as part of our downtown community and wish you all the best as you go forward and continue making that chili and some of those other good dishes that you make over there. And I think you should sell cookies too. So put that on your list of things to sell.
There we
We
go.
do.
But Patrick, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Natalie,
John.
thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
for the opportunity.
it's been a pleasure. And ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us today, and tune in again next week for Aiken Business Matters.